So Bethesda has recently announced a few things that may have renewed your interest in, well, Fallout 76 in and of itself, but even more specifically, legendary weapons in Fallout 76. In their past Inside the Vault article, they discussed how they're actually doing pretty significant nerfs to both two-shot and explosive legendary weapons. This may actually take their title away as being some of the most powerful in the game. Even further, in the coming weeks, it seems like we're getting totally new PvP servers. It's going to be some kind of PvP based game mode that doesn't have restrictions and you can select from the main menu, so it sounds like a PvP server. And following that news, the stock price of the Assassin's legendary effect, which makes it so you do more damage to other players, has gone up considerably, so farming them and reselling them is definitely valuable right now. Well, either way, in this video, what I'm going to be showing you are 5 different locations that you can go to in order to successfully farm legendary items in Fallout 76. So this video is actually distinctive from one I've made in the past. I know some of you are probably drawing those same connections. In the past, I showed you a video about legendary spawns, and in that, I really focused on guaranteed legendary spawns. That was one of the main themes of that video, and predominantly I was looking at events that you could do in Fallout 76 to get those legendary items 100% of the time. In this, I'm not doing that. This is mostly just going to be certain areas that you may have not realized are actually pretty good places to find legendaries. You'll typically have to farm these out, doing it multiple times in a given session. One of the key differences being you could find higher level enemies and oftentimes better legendaries with this route, even though it's not quite as consistent. The ceiling is much higher even though you don't have a guaranteed spawn. At this point, almost everybody in the game knows about the White Springs Golf Course and the Watoga High School, so for that reason they might be really crowded, or you might just be tired of using those locations. Either way, the first and I would say the third on the list of the best places to farm legendaries is going to be West Tech. The West Tech Research Center is going to be a pretty cool location in Fallout 76 in and of itself, having a pretty cool backstory as to why these super mutants are here, and including some special voice lines on the surrounding super mutants. But naturally, as this is the birthplace of super mutants in Appalachia, there also are simply a ton of them, and they're really high level. I don't have an exact count, but you could certainly find over 30 super mutants running around this location, both outside and inside, and as a result of that, you'll find a lot of legendaries. On numerous attempts, I found more than one in clearing this place, and it might take a decent amount of time to clear it. Unfortunately, super mutants will actually drop legendary firearms. That's something that ghouls don't really seem to do. Them predominantly dropping melee weapons and armors. And also, don't actually forget about the side portion of this building. There's a catwalk that you can go up and a few more enemies there, but also on the roof of this, oftentimes you could find a perfectly preserved pie, the thing you get out of those machines. I actually made a whole video looking at rare items you could just naturally find like this in case you guys want to check that one out. But even further, we actually have the Middle Mountain Cabins. This is a really cool spot because if you've been farming legendaries for a while, it's going to be a real nice change of pace. Right off the bat, this is actually going to spawn creatures. You'll typically find some of those bear creatures that I can't pronounce the name of, as well as some various rad scorpions. These guys will be really high level, so in general, it's a pretty good place to get some experience quickly. But even beyond that, if you actually server hop here a couple of times, they'll typically have at least one legendary between them. One of the parts about this that makes it pretty cool and easy to actually farm is when you spawn here, or even just fast travel here, all the enemies are typically like right in front of you. It's not the most populated place, but if you do server hop successfully, I have had a lot of success with this one, and you don't spend a ton of time trying to clear out an entire building just hoping for one to spawn. Then we do have the General Steakhouse. This one's pretty valuable because it might be good for those of you that aren't super high level, or maybe just don't have the legendary weapon that makes it so you one-shot everything just yet. Here you'll also typically find super mutants, but they won't always be the highest level. Oftentimes I'll find they're actually a more moderate level. But if you either just start out a new character and you're looking for something that's appropriate for them to level up with, or even further, if you on your character aren't quite at level 50, 60, 70, this could be a really good spot for you to check out. But then I have one that's a little bit different. It's mainly going to be 3 spots tied into one, with the idea being that rather than just server hopping over and over again, it's actually going to be a way for you to alleviate that somewhat. So these 3 locations are going to be Appalachian Antiques, the Watoga Medical Building, as well as NAR Repair Yard. So on their own, I wouldn't say any of the 3 are particularly strong locations to farm legendaries, but when taken together, you could find quite a bit of success. Each of them have fairly similar characteristics to all the other locations I've shown you and that you probably know about. They tend to spawn high level enemies that will kind of just run at you as soon as you go there. You can clear out the area fairly quickly, but then what I would do is actually fast travel to the next area, not just immediately immediately server hop. That's why I picked out these 3 locations. All of them are very close together, so it'll only cost a couple of caps to go from one to the next. And then after clearing out all 3 of these, you can server hop and do the process over again, clearing out all 3 yet again. I think one of the real benefits of this is it's actually much faster and takes less time to fast travel from each location and clear out all 3 of them than actually just staying at one location and server hopping over and over. Maybe it's just in my head, but it certainly feels like server load times have been quite a bit longer lately, both in the time it actually takes for you to connect to the server when server hopping, but even beyond that, the time it actually takes for things to like load in appropriately, and also just for your own sanity. This route proves to be far more interesting and dynamic than just going to one location over and over and over again. If you want to, you could obviously modify it and add in some of the other local sections. Some people like to do this. I prefer just doing the 3 because I found the most success that way and the least load times. But either way, yeah, those are 6 of the best locations you can farm legendaries in Fallout 76. Well, there's something interesting while I was filming this video. Speaking of server instability, on one of the servers I jumped in and I just noticed it was significantly laggier than any of the other ones. At this point, I'd been filming for quite a while and server hopping quite a few times. Things were loading in much slower and I just wasn't really dealing damage to enemies. So it occurred to me like, oh, maybe there's dupers on this server. Maybe they have really high carry weight or something along those lines, and maybe is that what's causing this issue? Well, lo and behold, yes, there actually were dupers, or what seemed like dupers. A bunch of people, some of them very high level, some of them very low level. Typically, dupers will create new accounts to actually act as mules just to carry all of their junk. And they also had a bag that had thousands of various scrap in it. I'm not sure if they were actively duping. They were certainly doing some suspicious things out there, but I haven't really seen any concrete proof that there is a connection between dupers and duper activities and server instability. It's something that logically makes sense, so I think a lot of us buy into it. But this is one of the first times I jumped onto a server and could immediately find that, oh yeah, there are definitely some sketchy things going on here. But either way, this pretty much gonna wrap it up for this one. As always, again, I thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you found this informative, and good luck to all of you like me that are starting class tomorrow. But with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.